All right, welcome to today's show. I have David Lee Jenson with us today here on the Growth Podcast, CEO of CRE8 Entrepreneurs, best-selling author, and international speaker. David, welcome to the show. Pleasure to have you here.
Aaron, thanks for having me, man. Really appreciate it. Been getting to know you and your history, which is terrific. And congratulations on the podcast. And maybe everybody doesn't know this, but happy birthday, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Yeah, my wife and I had a great birthday. She took me around Rome. We were acting tourists for the day. It's always fun in a new town, right?
That's
All right.
cool.
Yeah. So thanks so much for being here. I appreciate your time, David. I know you're a busy guy. You got a lot going on. I can't wait to dig in and get to know you a little bit more here, your history and what you have going on. You're doing some amazing things. But for the listeners who don't know you quite as well as I do, can you just give us a little background? Who is David?
Who is David? That
David?
Could go deep, you know.
That's big, huh? That's big.
Back in the 60s, I was born by Fenway Park. Yes.
Take us there.
Yes, deep, dark secrets of David. Sounds like a show. Deep, dark secrets of David.
Hey, that sounds
now
great.
Now playing in HD.
Get the domain.
quickly. Anyways, don't even start with anything on domains. Boy. Yeah. All right. So currently, I'll kind of go backwards, I guess. Currently, sure. I'm running a conference in March in Arizona called the CRE8 Conference, Create Your Future. It's how to become an entrepreneur, the stable pillars of author, speaker, coach, online marketer. We're going to include some awesome entrepreneur success stories and how to maintain your health and fitness and nutrition as an entrepreneur as well, with some really cool speakers. And that's the big excitement right now, is the conference in March in Phoenix, Arizona. But what led to that was, originally I was in a corporate day job just like you. Had to, cut the cord of punching the clock for someone else, making money for someone else, not owning anything despite working really hard. And after taking that plunge, really looked into, well, what are the areas that I have talent in and interest in and care about helping others, with. And so that became writing my book, The Naked Interview, Hiring Without Regret, and creating the online course platform, Hiring Academy. So with the success of those, we were able to then really go, okay, good. What do you want to do more than anything else in the world, right? And first I started helping students and soldiers who were transitioning by talking about interviewing from the other side of the desk. Wrote another book, which was called Hire Me or Else, which taught people about interviewing from the other side of the desk. And it all kind of led down to the path of, wow, what I really appreciate the most and what's really changed my life the most was just becoming an entrepreneur, being willing to take that leap. I've gotten to see my kids grow up the last 10 years. I've gotten to do so many things that I wouldn't have been able to do tied down to a desk job. So I'm blessed to be an entrepreneur and really want to help others learn how to do so. That's how I ended up here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were discussing before we hopped on here about both of our corporate backgrounds. And, the more people that I talk to, the more I hear that story on repeat. Mm-hmm. You go out, you get the job, you climb, you work, and then all of a sudden you kind of either have an epiphany or a breakdown or a meltdown, or you just move on quickly, abruptly, like I did. Like I bought my way out of my contract. Wow. I left early and I paid my salary out of pocket for the last few months, just because I was like, no, that's it. So, so what were you doing back then in corporate? What was your thing?
I was kind of like you in banking, and good on you for doing it before me. I didn't do it until I was 40.
Oh, wow.
Finally, cut bait, but I was in merchant services, helped grow a company to $2.5 billion a year in processing, and, had a great team, amazing relationships. I don't have any regrets on it. It's just a matter of, at some point I wanted to, go out and stake my own claim.
Yeah. Stake your own claim. I love it. The entrepreneur gold rush, right?
That's right.
Get that domain too.
Oh, totally. You went through 2008, you said, of being in banking, and, obviously I was there at the time too. And, it's funny because that time period, I don't know if you know this, but more millionaires were created during that short time period after the crash than any other time combined in history.
Wow.
So if I don't know the numbers on it, but call it, 500,000 entrepreneurs were made in the last, 100 years, then in that, year or two span during the crash, more than that was made. And I think that's because people really, we're desperate, we're losing their homes, we're, really in a back to the wall situation. And that's where then their survival turned to them what they did know best, what they did love to do, so that they could turn a profit, so that they could actually make some money and survive. And so it's funny that that's what entrepreneurial, sparks, that's the point that they start at, or they start at, the other end of the spectrum. This is my opinion, of course, but I think they start in those fires. And then they start also in those great points of, serenity and happiness of like, wow, I can do whatever I want to do right now. And I think I've been in both positions. Haven't you?
Yeah. No, I've most definitely been in both positions. One of my good friends told me one time, he said, the moment in life when you're going to make a decision, like a move, let's say, like from corporate to this or this to that, typically you're in one of two places or possibly both, right? Either your back's against the wall, and you really have no way out and you have to find a way, which is that situation in 2008 for a lot of people, or you've just had enough and you've broken and you're transitioning, like you're moving towns, you're changing relationships, you're having some sort of a drastic change in your life and you're just flipping it on its head,
Yeah.
And that recession and what that did to a lot of people financially, I think it did both to the people, like to a lot of society was hit with that emotion all at the same time, right?
Truth.
Yeah.
And I think, but what gets overlooked is funny because, see, he said this, like a lot of people say it's either this crushing thing or this, sudden loss, but I really think there's another avenue, because with like this new venture, it was really that we're at this point where, we're living in a penthouse on the beach in Miami, and where, we can live anywhere in the world we want. Kind of like, you moved to Rome, right? I mean, like, and have lived in Asia, and, you're able to make decisions for yourself. And at that point, I think that's another opening to entrepreneurship, where you kind of go, okay, good. I can survive, but how do I want to, I mean, and I don't mean to be coy either, but, now how do I thrive, right? How do I now excel? Because I believe retirement is death. You have to be producing, you have to, you have to get up out of bed every day and have something that you're going to do, not just lay on the beach, and I think entrepreneurship is born from that as well. It's like just opportunity of like, hey, I've got a buddy who is, filthy rich, and he is constantly playing games. And I'm like, wow, man, you can take a break. You don't have to do this. And he's like, no way. If I take a break, I'm going to die. Like I literally need to just keep investing in companies and making things happen and creating. And that's really kind of at the heart of CRE8, was like, okay, good. What are you going to start and light that match?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It has a lot to do with the way you look at goal setting too, right? Like you have a goal, an immediate goal, but are you looking to create something further? One of the sort of time jumping meditations that I go through regularly is a timeline where you're looking, one step down the future, 2 steps, 3 steps, 4 steps. And it's a very structured step. What's the next step? And then when you complete that, how do you feel? What's the next step? How do you feel? What's the next step? And then looking backward on the step before and being grateful for that guy who got you to that step, right? And then working your way back to the present time and then working backwards to the past to thank that guy who got to where you are now. Excuse me. So you're doing that timeline meditation. You're hopping back and forth on the timeline. And that's what you mean right there, I think, right? I think that's what that means, because if you only have one,
where are you going?
And then where are you going after and after and after and after? Like your buddy who's just constantly working, reinvesting and doing new projects. He clearly has multiple steps in his mind, even if it's subconscious. He knows this deal is almost done. I'm already looking for what's next, kind of thing. Like, I'm networking over here now. Oh, what are you guys doing? And right, like, that's the entrepreneurial thing. That's exactly what's going on here. So it's absolutely amazing. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about something that I think a lot of people, especially the listeners of this podcast, because the audience here, right, obviously entrepreneurs, but a lot of people that maybe are just getting into entrepreneurship. Maybe they're transitioning from corporate, or maybe they're just transitioning from school and they're wondering about entrepreneurship, or they're transitioning from somewhere else and they're wondering, like, what is this entrepreneurship? It's a buzzword now, right? Like, it never used to be cool to be an entrepreneur. Now it's cool, right? Back in the day, it was like,
and now it's the side hustle.
I hate that word, but I hate
do
that
too, man.
I hate that. So it's so misleading. It's like, no, it's the if you make it a side hustle, you're going to fail, because you need to be all in.
Because it's all on the side.
It's all on the side. It'll just continue to be on the side. So when you were transitioning and getting into your current, maybe not current, but maybe let's take a step back, 1 or 2 steps back. What were some of the challenges you faced as you made that transition?
Money.
Yeah.
Oh, and money. And
how about money?
Another thing, money.
Possibly actually, money.
There was a little bit of challenge about money. I mean, and I've said this on other podcasts or whatever, it's now becoming like a regular thing. We of our generation, I mean, I'm a little older than you, what have you, but you've heard, if you build it, they will come. Kevin Costner, Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams, love it.
Yeah, it's a lie. It is an absolute positive lie, right? Like, you can build something really fantastic, really amazing, like whether it be a website or a product or a course or a event or any of these things. And you say, well, if I build it, they will come. No, they won't. You have to promote it. You have to market it. You have to bleed for it. And then maybe somebody will kind of go, what's this over here, right? So that is really, why it takes money to build that. I definitely always agree with people transitioning. I mean, we have, 250,000 military who transition every single year. We have, millions of college students who, graduate every year. Many of them feel like their degree isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Their subject of study is something they will never pursue as a career. All of these reasons why they're just set up for failure. I mean, forget student loans and debt and this and that and the other, right? So I think that you have to build something while you're keeping that baseline of money. You have to remember it's a business, and you just can't go out and say, oh, my purpose is to, fill people's bicycle air tires on the street. Like, you're not going to make a whole lot of money doing that. You got to kind of advance the plan. So I really encourage people jumping into entrepreneurship to remember it's a business. And so when you're working out that future and where you're at, work out what it's going to cost to promote it, what it's going to cost to market it, what it's going to cost to develop it. And then kind of go, okay, good. I need to save that as a nest egg, or I need to find an investor, or I need to sell enough product to get to that point. Because otherwise, boy, I've been there. I've been to the point where, I was literally hiding my car in the neighbor's garage because I couldn't quite catch up on the payments. And I was like, every time I saw a tow truck, I was like, no, please.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But it's true. I know. I used to be really embarrassed to say that out loud. And then I met some like really successful people, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember the day that they came and, taped up my front door. And I'm like, what? So it happens to the best of us.
Yeah. It does. It really does. We've all been there. And if you're listening and you haven't been there and you're going down this road of entrepreneurship, you most probably will at some point.
Scary.
Prepare yourself. It's coming. It's cyclical that way. Very, very interesting. I agree completely. Basically what you're saying is know your numbers and be realistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's your opinion on this whole, find your passion, follow your passion versus something like do what you're good at, follow your skill, or recognize your skill and double down on it? I've heard contradictory opinions on that.
Oh, trust me, that is something near and dear and painful to my heart.
Oh,
Like a knife going in and touching it, that
oh,
close.
okay.
Um,
I
yeah,
won't
because
twist it. I won't twist it.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, you already did. Like it's in there. You can't pull it out, or it's like that when you get impaled and you have to just leave it there
Yeah.
because
Just
otherwise you're going to cause
hold.
more damage than right. So here's the deal, right? Like
Okay.
I was a hiring expert, right?
Mm.
I had statistical proof, statistical evidence, financial results from hiring the right people. And I hired thousands of people. I worked for a big organization where I hired hundreds. And then I worked for, the banking industry. And in between, I worked for a personnel company as well, which I won't name names. But so I've done a lot of recruiting, a lot of hiring, and then I literally wrote the book on it. And the reason I wrote the book on it was because of, like you said, it was something that I was good at. And that was the natural first progression into entrepreneurship was, look, do something I know before I just jump into something that I'm really passionate about, but don't know the business behind. That then afforded me to be able to do what I'm doing now, which I love. I literally work till 2 a.m. and I wake up early, and I'm like
Yeah.
ready to go again because I love to create entrepreneurs. But that came from being smart about where I began. And so I don't think that answers your question definitively either way. I'm a little bit of both. Like, do what you know to keep your stable footing, and then pursue your passion, because I see a lot of people who are very successful pursuing their passion, but I believe they had runways. There's no overnight success. It's like for me it was a 10-year overnight success.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a tough one, eh? Like I think it's subjective, right?
Truth.
It's very subjective. Everybody's different. If your passion is filling up tires for people's bicycles, like you say, you're probably not going to, unless
See, you're starting to spin with that now, right? You're thinking now
yeah.
that could be actually a good business
Yeah,
plan.
I'm
If you
thinking like,
stop people and could create little stands on the side of the street, like
yeah.
lemonade stands, right?
Yeah, go go set up shop, somewhere where there's lots of thistles and things,
Bicycles.
and go to Amsterdam and set up shop next to where there's
There you go.
some thistle bushes or something, where there's pop tires everywhere. Yeah.
Or you could just sprinkle nails in the road at a race.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Create the demand, right? Create it.
That's right.
That's funny.
That's what we're all about. Create.
If you build it, they won't come. But if you sprinkle nails, they have to.
They will come in droves.
They will walk their bike to you and ask you for service. You can charge them
Right.
huge. Yeah, funny. The entrepreneurial mind, it just goes. It just
That's
goes.
true. Just
crazy.
Squirrel.
Squirrel. Yeah. So speaking of your entrepreneurial mind, take us through, kind of like maybe a light bulb moment or an aha moment or something where you had a pivot or a breakthrough or something where you discovered your current business direction.
Really, it comes from, I've been really blessed to be married to my best friend for 28 years, be 28 years in March.
Congratulations.
Thanks. So we really, people are always asking, well, how do you keep, especially in today's day and age, a relationship going that long? And it's a lot of communication, right? A lot of, understanding where each other's at and, really talking things out. So like every single morning we take a walk, whether it's on the beach or, down the street or something. And we do about like 3 miles every morning, and we go over the plan for the day, but we also kind of go over what's bugging us or what's got our attention or what we're thinking about or what have you. And really the idea for the new business, I had always had the idea to do a book about entrepreneurship and such, but really the idea came from the hiring academy's going, interview blueprints going. I don't have the same passion as I used to. I'm doing some speaking engagements or consulting on it, but what's really exciting is this 1 or 2 coaching clients I have that I'm helping create this new entrepreneurial venture, and well, wait, why are you so involved in them? They're a small ticket, client or whatever. I know, but it's so exciting what they're doing. And I love creating new entrepreneurs because remember when we were there, when we were going to lose our house, lose our cars and all that, and then we made it. I want to help other people make it. And my wife was like, well, then that's your business. And I was like, that's pretty smart. Okay, good. So, it started with a purpose, which I actually have on I can't turn it here, but I have literally painted on the wall here. As my purpose is to create a remarkable impact on the production and prosperity of the world.
Beautiful.
And that's where all of the, create stuff came from. And then I started calling the people who helped me originally get into entrepreneurship. And, that included, Joe Polish, who's founder of the Genius Network, and Tim Story, who's, been on the Oprah, Super Soul Sunday as one of the greatest motivational speakers, and Jennifer Hootie, who's a copywriting sensation from everybody from Tony Robbins on down, right? Ted McGrath, Coach Michael Burt, like all these people who were involved in my entrepreneurial journey. And I was like, look, we need to get together and not do one of these events that's like a motivational weekend, because I feel like the result of a motivational weekend is you're motivated for the weekend, and then what do you leave with? Yeah, bye, nice meeting you. How many of those people do you follow up with, right? And do you actually start a business? So I wanted to create an event that it'll still be motivational, it'll still be exciting. We have amazing entertainment and amazing speakers, but we're going to give you the tools, the actual, here's an outline on writing a book. Here's a checklist on, publishing it on Amazon. Here's a checklist on a coaching program. Here's a workbook on how to, be a great speaker. All of these things so that they can leave with kind of like a business in a box, be ready to start as an entrepreneur. That's you can see, I just get oh,
you're fired up right now.
I wish somebody did that for me, right? I had a lot of help from Brendan Bouchard, a lot of help from Joe Polish, a lot of help from, David John, some of these other speakers. But imagine just having it all in one place. You go, here's your stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
So cool.
That's so cool. Yeah, you're fired right up right now. I can just see you vibing. You're vibing hard. Yeah, it's awesome. Totally. That's awesome. I love it. Yeah, it's so true. I'm like I said before we hopped on here, I'm totally green to this whole space, the online space. Number one, it's been about a year. And for the first half of it, I was completely off in space, being bombarded with just garbage, and I was eating it all. As we all seem to do at the beginning. And then as far as the entrepreneurial space
$99 a month.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, check your bank account because it's oh yeah, $119, $99, $49, $29. You just let them go until you realize oh my God, I get $11,000 a month in friggin'
random auto ships. What is this?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are these things coming out of PayPal every day?
Exactly. I didn't even know I had money in my PayPal. Well, my PayPal takes from my credit card, which then takes from my bank account. Oh my God.
Yeah. It's like they planned it.
Yes, they did.
It's like they planned it. It's like they were appealing to my desperation coming out of a hard situation, and I was getting shiny balls and I wanted to buy everything. It's like they knew it.
It's the Netflix culture, man.
Totally. It's totally
Sorry,
true.
I cut you off.
No, it's great.
You scared me. That first year is really tough.
Yeah. And if someone was to ask me what was the transition, how did that go? What was the biggest struggle? My answer would be identical.
What was the transition? What was the biggest struggle?
The first thing would be money. The second one would be probably cash flow. Third one would be income. Fourth one would be the bank calling me. The fifth one would be
auto payments
coming from a card that I don't want to use anymore. It was the money. It was the money. We
agree. It is the money.
It's the money. That's the thing. And I'm also in a space now where I'm learning this stuff. I'm just learning what this is all about. And from guys like you, it's absolutely amazing to get in your space, your energy, and learn from you. So thank you again for being here. This is awesome.
No, thank you.
But when you say a checklist for your book, or how to get speaking engagements, or how do you even what does that even really mean? how does that even work? Where do you even start? You know, I was sitting on a beach. It's funny you mentioned the beach. I was sitting on a beach in Asia for, 7 years, right? Southeast Asia, beautiful beach, place called
It's a
Boracay in the
long time on the
Philippines.
beach, dude. You must
It
have had a
is.
really bad, did you have food delivered to you? Or?
I did. We did. Of course we did. Southeast Asia, right? We had food delivered. We were living at my best friend's place. He had a beautiful beach house, and we were all working together, building businesses and running hotels and consulting, and everything was very cool. Small backstory. I don't know if you heard about Boracay in the Philippines or the Philippines in general, what's been going on there in the last few years, but the president basically, for lack of better words, took over. I don't want to get too deep into it, but he took over, and the political scene's a bit dodgy. And basically where we lived, they closed it. And when I mean closed, I mean they literally closed the island. No more business. So all of our businesses dried up overnight, right? We had about 20. And, we're running on credit. We have tourism income. That's where the money comes from. And all of a sudden there's none. So it was like a jolt to us, right? We were like, oh my God. And I instantly regretted putting all my eggs in that basket. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. And so that was the epiphany for me: diversify, move online, do something else. But then you referenced the beach, and I was like, I've been sitting on a beach for 7 years. It was a brilliant time. I'll never regret it. It was awesome. But transitioning out of that with no business income to supplement the transition, and actually debt to cover now because of the expenses from the businesses we couldn't cover. So I have debt. And then it's like, well, we want to transition to entrepreneurship online and away from there. What's the biggest struggle, Aaron? Money. How do you go about that? So
I feel for you, brother.
But we did it. That's the thing. We just took the leap. We moved into Rome. We moved into a small little place in the center of Rome, 1-bedroom apartment. It's a massive downgrade lifestyle wise for us.
Yeah.
But I did it because I know, like I said, the goals are in place and I can see the vision.
That's right.
I can see myself.
Yeah, a year or two down the road, we'll be talking again, and you'll be like, "Oh, Jenson, I just got my 4th Ferrari, and so I decided that it's a Ferrari that I bought in Italy, so
there. There. It's I already know the one.
I had to do it.
Yeah, I had no choice. So yeah, I get
it's
it.
It's like a Ford in the U.S.
It is though. It is a Ford.
Stop it. Okay. Interview over. Thank you.
It is a Ford. I walked past the Vatican yesterday, and I was walking through the Vatican, and there was a red Ferrari, and I was like, "This is so Italy right now." I had a gelato in my hand.
Oh my God!
Red Ferrari, Vatican.
Dude,
I was like,
rough
wow.
life in your 1-bedroom apartment.
Yeah,
anybody who can say, "I walked by the Vatican yesterday with the gelato in my hand, looking at a Ferrari."
Yeah. I created
awesome.
it. We chose it. My wife's out there now.
That's true success.
Yeah. And speaking of working, you said, you can get out of bed and work when you're passionate about what you're doing and things. So
True.
My area of expertise, which I've cultivated over the years and now I'm really honing in on, is sales in general. Sales.
Mm-hmm.
So last night, for example, we were doing sales all night for a business that I'm consulting with. I didn't sleep. I still haven't slept. It's What time is it now? It's 5 p.m. So I'm at about 35 hours or something right now, because
and
we just
11 a.m. here. So that you can just add on another 12 hours.
And I'm not going to sleep now either. When we hop off here, I'm going straight into doing some calls. I got about 4 hours of calls, and then that consulting job starts at 10 p.m.
Wow.
Right. But my friends, like that I know from around the world, the ones who understand this journey, like guys like you, they get that, right? They're like, oh, I see. And some people are like, what are you doing? That's not healthy. I'm like, I know it's not healthy, but I need to do this right now. This is the moment, know? So I hear you when you say,
now make sure you get your power naps in or whatever, go
power
take
naps.
Just like literally, I went to a thing with Ariana Huffington.
Cool.
We shared the stage in New York City, and she actually had a bad accident because of not sleeping. She fell asleep at her desk, hit her head. What have you, right? So she just said, she actually put in throughout Huffington Post, which, she's now sold, sleep pods and stuff like that. And people were encouraged to go lay down for 10 or 20 minutes or whatever, and just, get some energy revitalized. There's all these, scientific studies that say, it's good for the body. So I'm not one of those guys who's like, you got to sleep or this, that, or the other. but I did kind of take the advice of like, all right, I get 10 minutes of, shut eye, then I'm like, okay, ready to go. Boom, so anyways.
Yeah. I'll definitely have a small nap. I mean, it's not every day you're doing that, but yeah, siesta. That's right.
Totally.
Siesta,
and I can do that too when I get so excited because the adrenaline just keeps you going,
Yeah. I'm not tired. My wife just
and Red Bull and coffee. And,
a little bit of coffee. Hey man, Italian coffee is delicious. I'm all
you in the Italy, dude. We gotta stop. All right. So I'm coming to visit.
Yeah. Just let me know. No problem. The one bedroom, we got to pull out.
I was going to say, except you don't have room in the one bedroom.
We got to pull out. We have a pull out. Maybe by the time you get here, I'll be upgrading. I see it in the future. Yeah. So
sounding good right about now.
That's amazing.
I'll sleep in my Ford Ferrari rental.
Perfect. Cool. Okay. So one of the things I like to do in the podcast here is encourage people not to judge your day based on what you're doing in that day, and to think more about, the seeds you're planting, right? It's the growth podcast, right? So let's reference a garden, planting seeds. So, don't think about planting the seed today and eating the fruit today. The old story. Think about the fruit in the future. Okay.
Yeah.
So planting some seeds for the listeners, maybe they could go out and learn some things. Do you have any favorite books or resources or references that you would like to recommend, or that helped you on your journey or something like that?
Yeah. I think the journey started with The Millionaire Messenger from Brendan Bouchard. Terrific breakdown of, it's a little out of date now, but how to be an author, a speaker, a coach. And, that's the basis of my business as well now. So the number one book I'd recommend is Create Your Future when it comes out in March.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Link in the description. That's right.
That's right. Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. And then each subsequent book, updating from Gary, even down to, hashtag Gary V, right? 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss, 10X Rule by Grant Cardone is spectacular.
Really good. I love his audiobook because it's Grant's voice, and he's so raw. There's no second take.
He goes completely off
totally.
Script, no second take, and he's like, so this chapter is about blah, 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 but I'm not going to read the chapter. What I'm going to tell you is you better go out and get your money. You're like,
I love it.
Grant, that doesn't match the book at all.
Yeah. Whatever. It's so him, eh? It's so him. Yeah, he's awesome. He's got awesome energy.
Awesome. So
cool.
Yeah, so that would be the baseline. A lot of, and I know they're typical books, but really that's why they're popular and that's why they've started movements, Gary, Brendan, Grant, these guys, they've understood that it's a business and that you can make the business a movement, so even you said, I showed you one of my conference passes, and you were like, oh, it looks a lot like a 10X pass. Yeah, but it looks a lot like a driven pass and a trafficking conversion pass and like all the conferences, because, we all understand that it is a business and it is it's a game, you got to keep it fun and have fun with it. Otherwise you're going to just keep, losing.
Yeah, absolutely.
In my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Great. Those are great resources. Thanks so much. Okay, let's talk about brand just for a second, because you touched on brand there. Messaging with your brand, your message. There's so much behind branding. You could talk for years on just branding alone, colors and this and that and the message and everything. What do you think about mastering your message for your brand? Someone out there who has a brand and they're trying to figure out their message, maybe they're lost or they're trying to refine it. What would you tell them?
Now, do you know this already? Like, have you already downloaded my supplement? Do you know this, or did you literally just originate that?
No, I didn't download your. Wow, now I feel bad that I didn't download it.
No. That's amazing, because so I have a what do you call that? A swipe file called Master Your Message. And I have an exact exercise that I use. It's actually a chapter in the new book. Hey, surprise. Called Master Your Message. Yeah, shock. That's why I was like, wow, wait a second. You're saying Master Your Message. it's just, that's kismet. That's good. That's, awesome.
There you
So,
go.
and actually I'd be happy to, literally never done this before, but I'd be happy to offer that to your listeners. If you want to create a little link or whatever, then any of your listeners, because you just brought that up, it's very,
cool.
that's an awesome origination. So master your message. I created a little exercise for it because I think that we get lost in what other people say and what now we're supposed to do. And like you said, the difference between what's our passion and what's a business and what are we just good at and, is what we're supposed to do. So for mastering your message, and you also mentioned, meditating on, the here and now and a little bit in the future and long-term future. So in my master the message exercise, I kind of do that same thing because I found myself in coaching saying, well, look, where do you want to be in, 5 years, 10 years, whatever. And people are like, oh, I want 5 best-selling books and I want to live in a house on Malibu and, and all this. And it's like, okay, good. Well, then let's work that backwards, because if you're going to have 5 bestsellers in the next 10 years, well, that's a bestseller every 2 years. So when does your next book release? And, and they don't even have one written, right? So it's like, okay, let's make a realistic expectation. And you want to live on a house on Malibu on the beach? Well, that's going to cost you $40 million. So you're going to have to make this, and just really working out the real life. It's not a stop. It's not a threat or a loss. It's just being realistic on the plan so that then you can, you can then, it's like being 4th and long in a football game. You can get a first down or you can get a touchdown, but you got to work out. Okay, good. Where's the defense? Where are the openings? Where's the, ability to make this happen? And I really encouraged in the Master of the Message drill to kind of go through, okay, good. What is your passion? How does that communicate? What problem does it solve? What is the branding behind that? Is there a business even behind it? Like we talked about the filling the air in the tires. Is that a business? I think if we ran it through the checklist, probably not, right? But
I don't think so.
But yeah, I don't think so, right? But who knows? A couple years down the road, we could go, see, we had the idea on that podcast. How dare us? As we're paying for air in our tires. Right?
Yeah.
But anyways, I do think that, so mastering your message is really an exercise of turning off the phone, turning off the TV, the radio, closing the doors, not letting, any interruption, and not necessarily meditating on it, but I ask people to just sit with a blank pad of paper, literally just take a blank pad and write a sentence of, my purpose is to blah, blah, blah. My message is to blah, and just keep writing and writing and writing and writing and writing. And then, after a fixed period of time, take a deep breath, put your pen down, take a walk, go walk by the Vatican and have a gelato, go hit the beach and, wait for the military to shut it down, do something other than, ponder on that. And then come back to it and see all the ridiculous things you wrote and start scratching them off and going, wow, I don't know what I was thinking, and scratch that, scratch that, scratch that. Go all the way through the list, scratching things off, and then kind of go back through the list and go, this is interesting. This, resonates. This is something that I've heard that's needed by others. And now you start to hone your message, and that's the beginning of mastering your message. Does that answer your question?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's amazing. Yeah. Really putting your thoughts on paper in flow, just putting it out there on the page, that's heading out, clearing your mind, coming back, and then looking at it with a clear lens at your own mind on the paper, and then refining.
Totally. And it's different than affirmations, because those would be oh, what I want to accomplish. This is more how can I serve others? And, what is, my purpose to help others, and what would people be interested in, me, my purpose, and my, my message.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. That's awesome. Yeah.
I think it's just hilarious that you asked it exactly that way. I was like, what? I wrote that. I love it.
Interesting.
But, I'm sure others have as well.
Yeah. Well, hey man, not today. This is your day. Yeah. So, okay. I don't want to take too much of your time here. One thing that I'd love to know, a guy like yourself, massive success. You have a long track record of great stuff and helping a lot of people and moving forward and building. And you have just awesome stuff in the future. You know, the CRE8 conference is just such a cool name in general. And I know that's, you have so much stuff going on, books and this and that. It's just awesome. So when you look back on your life from corporate, and then you transitioned, had a bit of a struggling moment there with the money and everything in the middle, like we all do. Then you blossomed into this now, and then you're moving forward, you know, on your timeline. What's the biggest the biggest transformation that happened to you that maybe you didn't realize was going to happen, but now you can recognize it?
I think it probably was the amount of, I don't know if the word is empathy, care, concern, desire to help that I gained once I got clarity, right? You know, first it became a survival thing. It was a money thing. It was remember that the money was just the beginning. It was kind of like, it's a business. How do I make money? But as soon as I was able to start looking at what really is the passion, and that people are willing to, money started to come into the PayPal account while I was sleeping. And so I say, wow, look, I'm making money while I sleep. But more importantly, I was getting, success stories and wins and, people saying, wow, this really changed my life. That was the aha moment. That was the changes, like, wow, I'm helping people while I sleep. And to me, that's like, holy Batman. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, that's intense.
And literally, like, it humbled me. It took me, because I can admit, my own flaws. I was a little bit like, hey, you got to watch me and do this. And my name's David Lee Jenson. And it literally, that created the transformation. The people going, I just really want you to know how much you helped me. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, okay. And then you do that enough times, and now it's like your purpose becomes really strong to just help others. It's just it's much more rewarding than money.
Totally, for sure.
Fact.
Help enough people get what they want, and you can have everything you want, right?
It's, I'm starting to believe it's true.
Yeah, the best. I love that saying. Was it Zig Ziglar or Jim Rohn? One of those guys said that.
One of those guys.
And I was like, I'll be honest, when I heard that, it was the same as Robert Kiyosaki. In one of his books, he wrote something like, it's not about making money, it's about serving people. The more people you serve, the more money you make. And I remember in that moment, I was like, no. I need money, and I need to serve myself. I'll admit it. I was thinking, like, I don't care about them right now. I'm broke. I have no income, and I'm struggling right now to pay the bills. How do I make money? That's all and now transitioned into this. And now I'm helping other people find their voice, and I'm serving clients with sales stuff and helping train their guys and doing this kind of stuff. And I'm realizing now that I get like a spark from that. And I'm like, oh, that's fun and exciting to help people do that. Oh, they're winning more because of me. That's interesting. That feels good. And then I look at the bank and I'm like, oh, there's actually some money in there. How did that happen? It's not a conscious thing. Yeah. So I hear you on that. That's amazing. Okay, David. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure here to have you on the Growth Podcast. I appreciate your time so much, and words of wisdom, and you're doing amazing stuff. So it's just a pleasure. For the listeners who would like to find you, learn more about you, your services, everything you have going on, where can they go find you?
The easiest ad is at David Lee Jenson on Instagram, at David Lee Jenson. Really simple, Jensen. And, from there's links to Hiring Academy, got a little unstable connection there for a second. Okay. From there's links to Hiring Academy, CRE8 conference, and everything that we're doing here, building the brand. Yeah,
perfect. What is it again? One more time?
At David Lee Jenson on Instagram.
At David Lee Jenson on Instagram. And that's in the show notes. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you so much, David. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Really appreciate you. Great to make the acquaintance.
Cheers.